The palace had weathered storms before, but this one felt different. Before sunrise, staff were already moving through the corridors with unusual urgency. Phones rang behind closed doors, advisors arrived earlier than expected, and reporters gathered outside the gates hoping to catch even the smallest clue. Something significant was happening, yet no one was prepared to explain why. Prince William stepped through the main entrance with a calm expression that revealed almost nothing. Those who worked closely with him noticed one small difference. He did not stop to exchange his usual greetings. Instead, he headed straight for a private meeting room where several senior advisors were already waiting. Whatever was about to unfold had clearly been building for some time. Rumors had been circulating for days about an extravagant private yacht gathering attended by influential figures connected to royal circles. Newspapers, television panels, and social media commentators were all asking the same question. Would the royal family respond, or would they once again remain silent? Although nothing had been officially confirmed, the growing speculation was beginning to overshadow the monarchy's public work. William understood the challenge better than anyone. Public confidence could disappear far more quickly than it could be rebuilt. Every decision, every appearance, and every statement would now be examined in extraordinary detail. Standing still was no longer an option. Inside the meeting, advisors presented a series of reports. Public opinion had shifted sharply overnight. Headlines were becoming increasingly dramatic, and commentators were questioning whether the palace still understood the expectations of modern Britain. Some believed the situation would calm naturally if everyone ignored it. Others warned that silence could cause even greater damage. William listened carefully without interrupting. When the final presentation ended, the room fell completely silent. After a brief pause, he looked around the table and delivered a simple instruction. "We deal with this directly." The atmosphere changed immediately. Some advisors exchanged uncertain glances. That was not the cautious approach many had expected. Traditionally, controversial stories were allowed to fade over time. William, however, believed the monarchy had entered a different era. Public trust demanded transparency, responsibility, and decisive leadership. Meanwhile, journalists outside the palace noticed an unusual increase in official vehicles entering the grounds. Cameras quickly focused on every arrival. Television presenters interrupted scheduled programs to discuss the unexpected activity, while online speculation accelerated with every passing minute. Across the country, people debated what might happen next. Some argued that William represented a new generation prepared to modernize the institution. Others questioned whether any meaningful change was truly possible within centuries-old traditions. Whatever their opinions, one fact was undeniable: millions were paying attention. As the morning continued, William held a second private meeting with senior communications officials. This time the discussion focused not on headlines but on the future. He insisted that every public appearance should reflect service rather than spectacle. If the monarchy wanted to remain respected, it needed to show that duty always came before personal image. One advisor suggested delaying any major announcement until media attention faded. William politely rejected the proposal. "If people are asking questions," he replied, "they deserve honest answers, not endless silence." His words spread quickly among palace staff. Although no official statement had yet been released, many sensed that the institution itself was beginning to change. Elsewhere, commentators continued analyzing every rumor surrounding the reported yacht gathering. Some believed it symbolized a wider disconnect between royal privilege and public expectations. Others argued that too many conclusions were being drawn without reliable evidence. The truth remained uncertain, yet the pressure on the palace continued to grow. By late afternoon, preparations were underway for an internal review of royal engagements and public communications. Staff worked quietly but efficiently, understanding that every recommendation could influence the monarchy's future direction. William spent several hours reviewing documents alone. Family photographs lined the walls, quietly reminding him of the responsibility carried by every generation before him. He understood that leadership was rarely about making popular decisions. More often, it meant making difficult ones. As evening approached, a brief official statement was finally issued. It did not mention rumors, gossip, or speculation. Instead, it reaffirmed the royal family's commitment to public service, accountability, and maintaining the confidence of the nation. For some observers, the statement seemed deliberately restrained. For others, it hinted that larger decisions were already taking shape behind closed doors. Yet the biggest surprise came after the cameras stopped rolling. According to palace insiders, William had requested another confidential meeting first thing the following morning, one involving only a handful of the monarchy's most trusted advisors. No agenda was released, no explanation was offered, and no one outside the palace knew exactly what would be discussed. But one thing had become unmistakably clear. Prince William was no longer content simply to respond to events. He intended to shape them. And if that meant challenging long-standing traditions, the next chapter of this royal story could change everything. By 7 o'clock the following morning, the palace looked calm from the outside. Tourists gathered behind the gates, cameras flashed, and the daily routine appeared unchanged. Yet inside the historic building, the atmosphere was anything but ordinary. Every corridor seemed quieter than usual, every conversation more cautious, as though everyone understood that the next few hours could shape the monarchy's future. Prince William arrived carrying only a slim folder of notes. Unlike previous meetings, there would be no large group of advisors, no lengthy presentations, and no endless debate. He had asked for only a handful of the palace's most trusted officials to attend. Their task was simple but significant: find a way to restore public confidence without allowing speculation to define the royal family's future. As the meeting began, William stood rather than taking his seat. He looked around the room before speaking. "Our responsibility is bigger than any headline," he said calmly. "People expect leadership, not silence." The words settled over the room. No one interrupted. The discussion quickly turned towards the growing pressure from newspapers and broadcasters. Some advisors argued that every rumor should be ignored. Others believed that the palace needed to become far more open with the public. William listened to both sides before asking a different question. What will people remember 5 years from now? The room fell silent once again. One advisor finally replied, "They'll remember whether we acted with integrity." William nodded. That single sentence captured everything he had been considering since the crisis began. Meanwhile, outside the palace, journalists noticed an unusual number of official vehicles entering through the side gates. Television crews immediately began broadcasting live updates, while commentators speculated about emergency discussions taking place behind closed doors. Across social media, countless theories appeared within minutes, each more dramatic than the last. Inside, however, the conversation remained remarkably measured. William proposed a long-term plan focused on public service rather than ceremony. Future engagements would place greater emphasis on charities, community projects, and practical support for organizations working across the United Kingdom. Every appearance would have a clear purpose beyond tradition. Several advisors welcomed the proposal. Others quietly questioned whether such a dramatic shift could succeed without resistance from those who preferred the old ways. William expected that concern. "Change is rarely comfortable," he replied. "But standing still isn't an option." By midday, word of the internal review had begun circulating among palace staff. Although details remained confidential, there was a growing sense that a new chapter was beginning. Younger employees appeared encouraged, believing the institution was finally preparing to evolve. More experienced officials remained cautious, knowing that meaningful reform often faced unexpected obstacles. Later that afternoon, William walked alone through one of the palace gardens. Away from cameras and formal meetings, he finally had a moment to think. The quiet surroundings reminded him that leadership was often lonelier than people imagined. Every decision affected not only today's headlines but also the legacy left for future generations. As he reached the end of the garden path, one of his senior private secretaries approached with fresh reports from the communications team. "The public response to this morning's statement has been mostly positive," the secretary explained. "People appreciate the focus on responsibility." William accepted the documents but remained thoughtful. "It's only the beginning," he replied. "Trust isn't rebuilt in a single day." Elsewhere, television studios continued analyzing every development. Experts debated whether the royal family had entered a period of genuine modernization or whether the changes were simply designed to calm public attention. Viewers across the country watched closely, eager to see what would happen next. As evening approached, William gathered a smaller group of younger advisors for an informal discussion. Rather than focusing on immediate headlines, He asked them how the monarchy should look 10 years into the future. The answers varied widely. Some believed technology and transparency would become increasingly important. Others argued that tradition remained the institution's greatest strength. William encouraged every opinion, believing honest disagreement often produced better decisions than comfortable agreement. Before the meeting ended, he summarized his vision. The monarchy survives when it serves people, not when it serves itself. The sentence stayed with everyone in the room. That night, Buckingham Palace released another carefully worded announcement. It confirmed that a comprehensive review of future royal engagements and public communication strategies was underway. The statement contained no dramatic language, no personal criticism, and no sensational claims. Instead, it emphasized accountability, service, and the importance of maintaining public confidence. The response was immediate. Morning newspapers described the announcement as a possible turning point. Television commentators called it the beginning of a new era. Across online platforms, supporters praised the emphasis on responsibility, while critics remained cautious, waiting to see whether meaningful changes would actually follow. Back inside the palace, William looked out across the illuminated courtyard. The day had been exhausting, yet he felt a quiet sense of determination. The challenges ahead were enormous, but avoiding them would have been far more dangerous. History, he believed, was not shaped by moments of comfort. It was shaped by moments when difficult decisions became unavoidable. As the palace lights gradually dimmed and the crowds outside disappeared into the London night, one chapter quietly came to an end. Another had only just begun. No one could predict exactly where the road ahead would lead. New challenges would emerge, fresh questions would be asked, and every decision would be examined by millions. But one thing seemed certain. The future of the monarchy would depend not on rumors or speculation, but on the choices made when the spotlight was brightest. And somewhere beyond the palace walls, another unexpected development was already beginning to unfold, one that could test every promise made over the past 2 days and force the royal family to face its greatest fictional challenge yet.